Hi guys, this is Erica Simonavice with the Robby Brady team at Tate Realtors, and I'm here today with Miss Dani Easter.
Hi guys, I'm Dani Easter with SWBC Mortgage, and I'm glad to be joining y'all today to tell you a little bit about how to buy a house before you sell.
Which this is one of the most stressful times in people's lives. You are trying to pack up your life, you're trying to move somewhere, you are worried about where you're going to go, if your house is going to sell. So my job as a realtor is to try and alleviate as much stress on you as possible. So one of the biggest things is, would you be able to buy your next house before you sell? And so we're talking with Dani today, kind of going through some options that may work for you, may not, but at least you have an idea then.
So the first question I always get asked is, where do I start? What do I do? To be able to do this, you're going to need several pieces of information. So we're going to spend some time to go through, do you qualify, and where's the money going to come from on your down payment on the new loan to buy the new house if you've not sold your old or your previous house. But the other part of that is you've got to spend some time with Erica to find out about selling your house and the numbers and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to let her talk briefly about what you need to know to make sure that your house is going to sell quickly, or whatever timeline you need to be able to do what you need to do to buy that new one.
Yeah, so one of the best steps to start off with this is just having a sit down conversation. It would be very similar to our normal marketing consultation, going through your home, whether virtually or in person, seeing if there are a few things that maybe we could do, such as decluttering, painting, a few things that really help market your home, and then understanding the market as well at the time you're looking to sell, whether that's right now or a year, 2 years down into the future. You're understanding how what buyers are looking for, what time frame you're going to be looking at, and then again, the biggest piece, what are you going to get out of your house? Because this has been a huge investment that you've been living in for however many years. You want to know what ultimately you can get out of it, and this really helps Dani in order to give you either more solutions or some of the solutions for you.
So yes. Also take a minute, Erica, and talk about the pros of why you would want to go through these steps and look for that new house first and wait to sell. So what are some of the benefits of doing it this way?
Oh, absolutely. So for the most part, this takes away from a lot of the stress that comes on it. Closing on the same day on two different homes, there are a million different factors that can be mixed up, or buying and selling a home isn't simple. So it's really there's a lot of factors that go into play, and a lot of things that can maybe delay something, and then it delays the next one, or things like that. One of the biggest things for people is they don't want to move twice. If you put your home on the market, it sells too quickly before you get your next home. You may be moving into temporary housing, or you may have to bunk with a relative or a friend for a few days, which I know can be just kind of add on to that stress, and no one really wants that. And then as well as you could be making a stronger offer. So without having that sale contingency in the market we are in right now, we're seeing more sale contingencies, but we're still not seeing a lot, and they're not as desirable as without that contingency in there. So you definitely would get a stronger offer. And now I think Dani's going to talk a little bit about the cons with it too.
Right. So those are the benefits. Definitely stress-free, definitely makes a stronger offer, which is more likely to be accepted if you don't have a contingency contract in there. But the cons are this. Everybody always asks, am I going to end up with 2 house payments? That's the top thing on everybody's mind. The answer to that question is yes. We have to weigh the situation and determine, will there be 2 house payments? One of the things Erica was going to do for you as part of her stuff was determine how quickly that house will sell. So there is a way to time all of this and not end up with those 2 house payments. For example, it's May. Let's say we went out and found a house now, and we closed in June. First house payment on a June closing is not until August 1. So if we get things going on the sale of your house, get it listed, we've got the rest of May, we've got June, we've got July, and we've got until that August 1 without having those double house payments. So there is a window there where if we do it correctly, you would not end up with those 2 house payments. The other negative of this is you have to have a down payment to buy a house. You're not a first-time home buyer, so most of the 100% loans are out of play. So where's my money going to come from to put down on this new house? The first thing that we're going to take a look at is, do you have a 401k? There is an option on a 401k called a loan where you can take money out yourself. Typically, it's 50% of the value of the house. Value of the loan, and take it as a loan. Ultimately, down the road, when your house sells, you could pay your 401k back. You don't have to, but it's an option. Another place we could get money from is a gift. Maybe you have an immediate family member who would loan you the money until your house is sold, and you could pay them back at that time. You may have money in checking and savings. We may want to look at a home equity line if you have enough equity in the house and we have enough time to put an equity line in place. So there are ways to come up with an acceptable source of down payment for the new mortgage. This other hurdle, or the other con, is, am I going to qualify for 2 house payments? A lot of people, based on income, car payments, and everything, won't qualify for 2 house payments. So we've got to kind of find that up front and figure out, how do we structure your deal to make that work? Couple of options. Sometimes I'll do a loan in a husband's name or a wife's name, and we'll leave the other person off because maybe the second house payment is in their name. And if both parties work, we can structure it that way. And I do that a lot. Another way would be maybe to restructure some of your debt. Maybe we have a car payment that's close to being paid off. Maybe we have a few credit cards we could reshuffle, but we can take a look at that early on and figure out, what do we need to do so that we qualify. Maybe we look at a different kind of loan for the new house, and we look at the long-term ramifications of doing something that maybe is minimum down. Typically 5% would be minimum down, but now you're borrowing 95%. There are ways to structure it. Everybody's situation is different, and we've got to take a look at that pre-qual and figure out how do we put it all together to make it work. A few other ideas. There are some, what I call, creative financing ways out there. There is something called a combo loan, which is where we do on the new house, we do like a first and a second mortgage, or an equity line, or a HELOC. They call this a combo loan. Typically it's 5% down, it's 15 for the second or the HELOC, and we do an 80% first. The good news is, when your house sells down the road, you can take that money and actually pay off the second, and then you're just left with that first mortgage, and it across the board lowers your payment. That's good news. There's also a loan out there called a bridge loan. Now, right now, most of the bridge loans are on hold due to Corona and some of the overlays that are out there. But it is a loan that's done against your current house, where it's paid off. We take the equity out of it. It's a 6-month loan. It's very risky. You have to be in a really good situation to want to take on that bridge loan, because it balloons at the end of the 6 months. So risky loan may be an option, though. And then there's something called Ribbon. I'm going to let Erica tell you a little bit about this form of financing.
Yeah, so Ribbon is this great company that has come out and really kind of ballooned in a lot of markets closer on the East Coast. So, there we go. I'm not moving enough. So they will purchase your new home for a 1% of the closing costs, and then as a all cash offer, which is very good when you're going to do an offer especially in like a multiple offer situation. And then they'll rent it back to you until you're able to move forward with the sale of your home. So if your home is on the market, it just isn't quite ready yet, but you found your absolute dream home, this might be a good option for you. If we know about it up front too, we can likely ask the sellers for that 1% of the purchase price at closing. Now, you'd go through and purchase the home from Ribbon after the closing of your home. So, which kind of makes it a little bit funky, and they're not really working in our area at the moment. Like Dani said, some of the more riskier ones, they're tightening that box for us. And so that we're looking at having them back out in this area here, probably within the next 6 months, but just not at this point.
Yeah, okay. And then last but not least, once you've moved into that new house, you've finally sold your previous house, and you have the money from the net proceeds of that. And the question I'm asked is, well, what am I going to do with that money? How do I get that back on or part of my first mortgage? How do I pay that first mortgage down? So if we did a combo loan, we would just pay off the second and you'd be left with the first. We talked about that earlier. That's an easy way to do it. But there's also something out there called a recast. That's a word that most people are not familiar with. Think of it as a mini refinance. We offer it at SWBC. It's kind of like doing an internal refinance. There's a small fee to do this. You can do it one time as part of your mortgage, and the minimum put into the principal has to be more than $10,000. But if you've netted more than that, you can take that, apply it to the new mortgage, and we will actually recalculate your new payment based off that lower loan amount. So for example, if we had originally done like a $200,000 loan, and now we had proceeds of $50,000 from the sale of your home, we would make your new loan with us $150,000, recalculate those payments if you chose a 30 or a 20 or 15 on that term, and we would physically lower that payment for you. So some real benefits. Again, not something that's advertised. A lot of the mortgage companies don't do a recast, but being that we service the loan as well as originate the loan, it is an internal thing that we'll offer at SWBC that would help with the buying versus the selling.
Perfect.
So that kind of concludes my comments for how to buy versus sell. We'd love to hear from you and find out more about your situation and see if this is an option for you.
Absolutely. So first things first, get with your realtor, get with your mortgage lender. They're the ones that are going to help you be able to understand if any of these are an option for you or what your best option is. And then you just go from there.
Yes.
So thank you so much, guys, for watching today. We really appreciate it. We'll have all of our contact information in the notes below. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to either of us. We're more than happy to help, whether it's in South Carolina or if we can get you connected with a local real estate or mortgage representative in your market.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see everybody.